Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to this Bulls Digital Update. My name is Paul Peck, joined by University of Buffalo Athletic Director Alan Greene. It's been a little while since we haven't had a chance to check in with you, probably towards the end of the fall sports. Well, now you are all in on winter sports here, and give us a little idea on how things change around here.
Hectic, and maybe the hecticness doesn't change, but as we leave the fall and get into the winter sports, it's incredibly exciting. Thinking about our men's and women's basketball programs, in particular our women's program, the three-peat from our men, thinking about men's and women's swimming and diving, which I know is going to have an exceptional year, and then into wrestling and watching Coach Stutz and those guys compete. It's a great time. It's a great time to be around UB Athletics for sure.
Well, let's start by talking about wrestling. You mentioned it. They're coming off an outstanding victory over Kent State. First time they've beaten Kent State in 12 years. One of the marquee programs in the Mid-American Conference when it comes to wrestling. Yeah. And I know the big dog is crowing pretty good over there, isn't he?
Yeah, the big dog's ready to eat.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So I meet with all of our coaches before the season and after the season. And certainly I meet Coach Stutz and I try to, we communicate during the season so he can teach me about wrestling. What's interesting is watching those young men compete. I have never seen student athletes compete the way that they do. So I am excited to watch wrestling and so happy that they had a chance to beat Kent State since, I think, 2005. And I think the sky's the limit for that program.
So you're telling me they're starting to take on Stutzman's personality, which I'm not always sure is such a good thing.
Hey, if they can take on just a little bit of the big dog, I think that's a great thing.
All right. And you also mentioned it. Swimming is off to a good start as well. Megan Burns breaking a school and a MAC record of the 50 freestyle. Maybe that's a sport that doesn't get as much attention, but it's got some outstanding performers.
Well, Coach Andy Basher's been around for a while, and he's a veteran in the league, and I think we all have great confidence in his program. And he navigates and manages the men's swimming and diving program and the women's swimming and diving program. And the women have just been ecstatic, led by Megan Burns, and she's an exceptional swimmer, and I can assure you she's a better person.
All right. Oh, you mentioned basketball, and obviously they are the marquee winter sports. And, boy, the women's basketball team, the fantastic start, reaching as high as 12th in the RPI rankings, as high as any University of Buffalo team has ever gotten. From your observation, are you sensing that Felicia has all the pieces in place that she wants?
I think so. And I don't think you need me to tell you that. I think watching how the program not only started last year, we were, I think, 6-0 last year to start the season off. We went through a little skid, but then watching those young ladies compete toward the end of the conference play and then through the MAC tournament, that is a true reflection. Kind of like we talked about with Coach Stutz, they're taking on the persona of Coach Jack. And you talk about a fierce, passionate competitor. That's what you see out there on the court, and I'm not surprised by the results at all.
You've been around athletics all your life. I think you can sense things, the confidence of winning that MAC championship last year. Do you see the women's team playing with that confidence right now?
They're playing with that confidence, but it's interesting. They're playing with even more determination. I think it's one thing to have led the regular season, won the regular season, and won the conference championship. We won it as an 8 seed, and I think what that brought us and what that taught us is that as long as we compete and play defense and have the passion for basketball and attention to detail, then the sky's the limit. And we're starting to see that now. So they're hungry. They're definitely hungry.
Well, men's basketball starting to find their groove a little bit too. And I know one of your big involvements on that is making sure the schedules are done the right way. And as you look at the men's basketball schedule, and we've talked with Nate about this, daunting. 2 top 10 teams in Xavier and Creighton, the trip to Alaska, the crazy long road trip. But I think now that it's over, Nate can exhale a little bit and say, you know what, that was good training for us. As an athletic director, is that your perspective as well?
I think it is. We talk about winning conference championships and Mid-American Conference championships. In order to do that, you have to put your teams in the best position to be successful during conference play and have them peak at the right time. So I think it was really important for us to play some really tough competition to get our guys a chance to get a feel for the flow of high-level basketball, and also recognizing that we can compete at that level. You watch us against Pitt. We started off really shaky, but boy, did we come roaring back. And that's what, and CJ, having him back on the court adds to that little extra dynamic. So Coach isn't pressing by any stretch of the imagination with the record. I think he's fine with it. It's about how we prepare ourselves for conference play, and I think we're right where we want to be and need to be. And certainly we need to continue to get better and continue to perform.
Even from the first basketball games of the year back to the exhibition games, there's been a different level of buzz and excitement inside Alumni Arena. Is it something you've noticed?
Definitely. Definitely. You know, it's funny. It's funny. My 9-year-old son plays AYB, Amherst Youth Basketball, and we had our game against Coppin State on Saturday. We played it 2 o'clock. My son had a basketball game at 5 o'clock. And the first thing I saw were people wearing the whiteout shirts. And then before my son's game started, the referee was like, "Hey, great win by UB." And I'm like, that's cool, because the little UB Bulls are about to play right now.
Right.
So it was really great. And then people in the community are starting to take note.
And that's how you notice, and that's how lots of people notice, is all of a sudden people are wearing the shirts they wore at the UB game when
Sure.
they come to their kids' game, or you see them bouncing around town when they're in the supermarkets and stuff. Are those the things that you look for a little bit as indications that things are moving in the right direction?
Absolutely. I think, part of what athletics can provide is a sense of pride for our university and our community. Whether you went to UB or not, we, as the largest public flagship university in the state of New York, we've got to have a sense of pride and ownership in our city of Buffalo, and knowing that we can be New York's public powerhouse right here from this great city of Buffalo. And I think that's what we're starting to see. We're starting to see UB alums wake up and say, wow, you know what? I went to a great school. Athletics is turning that corner. The men's team has won the MAC championship 2 years in a row. The women won it last year. That's something that I can take real pride in, and I want to showcase my pride in the community. And I certainly wear my UB stuff to Tops all the time. And if I happen to be in the aisle buying some Perry's ice cream, I want to make sure people know I've got some UB pride.
What's your favorite flavor?
I gotta say it's true to the blue, Paul. Perry's ice cream made it just for us, and I can guarantee you they won't be disappointed.
Why am I not surprised that that's your favorite? Now, the involvement of the fans in the community, there are other ways for them to take the next step in their involvement. And you and I have talked a lot about that. Give people an idea of, as fired up as they are about these basketball seasons and wrestling, how can they help contribute to even more success?
Well, someone had asked me earlier this week about the chicken or the egg, and I said we need the chicken and the egg. We need people to contribute, and we also need to put top quality product on the court or the fields of play. And so people can support the UB Athletics through buying season tickets, buying individual game tickets, going to the team shop to buying some swag, making sure that that you're talking about or tweeting about on social media with your family and friends. And most importantly, I think supporting the Blue and White Fund, making contributions to our teams, one of which is through crowdfunding campaigns for all of our teams, so that you can give $25 or $50 or $100 or $500 and have a real impact on the student athlete experience. We have 525 plus student athletes, and we all want them to have a remarkable experience at UB, and that's exactly how the university and the community can help make that a reality.
Alan, thank you very much, and we thank Alan Greene for joining us on this edition of our Bulls Digital Update.